Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your short and sweet AM practice. You can do this first thing in the morning, just roll out of bed and onto your yoga mat, or you can do this as a refresher any time of day. So, as we begin, it's a nice way to start the day with a natural stretching motion of the spine. What we would like to do is come into a direct experience of the polarity between the base of the skull and the tailbone, the sacrum. This marks the path of the vagus nerve, direct communication of the 10th cranial nerve from the skull down to our digestive organs. So bringing in fluidity within the spine is actually a really wonderful way to awaken the belly and communicate fluidity into the gut. Enjoy. Begin by finding a comfortable seat. Any cross-legged seat will do, or prop up on a cushion if you need to. And when you're ready, bringing the hands together and just generating some heat through the palms of the hands, creating some friction, and then just becoming more vigorous with that movement. So just increasing the above, a little bit faster, and release. Bring one hand to anywhere on the chest wall and the other hand to the belly. And as you do so, just closing down the eyes and bringing in a sensation of the flow of the breath in through the nose, out through the nose or mouth. And just arriving on your mat this morning. Letting go of any thoughts and experiences and being in full acknowledgement of where your mind is at, where your body is at, and what you bring to your mat today and what you have to work with. Now take a deep inhale through the nose. When you're ready, drink the breath in all the way up. Pause at the top of the inhale. Part the lips and just sigh it out through an open mouth. Let's do that again. Inhale through the nose, all the way up. Part the lips and just let it all go out through the mouth. Good. And once you have invited a sensation of the breath coursing through the body, just relax the arms and blink the eyes open. Taking both arms out to the side, over, up, and above the head. And taking the palms of both the hands to the back of the skull. Notice how I link my fingers and my thumbs are pointing slightly down the neck. So my hands are really cradling the back of my skull. And I'm leaning slightly back, so I'm supporting the skull and the base of the hands. And you will find that you could stretch the skin on the back of the skull ever so slightly up and grow to the tallest version of you this morning. So really lengthening the hairline on the back of the skull and just lengthening up through the spine, growing tall from the base of the sacrum, the tailbone, all the way up to the crown of the head. Good. And then once you've found that length, release both arms all the way out to the side. And then can you walk the right hand all the way out? And when it's walked out furthest from the right hip, can you plant the palm of the hand onto the mat and tuck the elbow in? So there's a external rotation of the shoulder as you tuck the elbow in. And inhale, lift the left arm all the way up. And you're just leaning, grounding through the right hand, leaning over towards that side. And can you root down through the left hip? So make the left hip feel really heavy. And drop the right shoulder away from the ear. Good, and then put a bend in the top elbow, take the palm of the hand to the back of the skull and take the weight, the full weight of the skull into the hand as you gaze up, if it's comfortable for the neck, all the way up past the top elbow. And then use the hand to literally lift the skull back up to center, cradling the back of the head. And lifting both hands to the back of the skull, lengthening through tallest version of you, and then releasing both arms all the way out to the side. And this time the left hand creeps, walks all the way out, palm of the hand finds the ground, tucking the elbow in, external rotation, and lifting the other arm all the way up, and just leaning over to that side, breathing in to that side of the body, to the right side of the body as you send the breath into the side body. And this time, rooting down through the right hip. And then taking the palm to the back of the skull, can you lean back slightly? And if it's comfortable, gaze up past the top elbow. And then use the hand to pick up the weight of the skull and lift the heavy head back up to center. Lovely. Taking both hands to the back of the skull, growing tall. One breath here. Deep inhale through the nose. Sigh it out through the mouth. Good. And then release both arms down by the side, and we're coming onto all fours. So unwrapping the legs and coming into what we call tabletop. So stacking the wrists below the shoulders and the knees below the hips. So there's a sense of stability through the shoulders and through the hips. And then tucking the toes and then walking the hands maybe 1 inch forward so that there's an angle between the shoulder and the wrist. And then simply rooting down, grounding through all 10 fingers of the hands, and then allowing the hips to reach back towards the heels in what we call a high child's pose. And you can allow your head to hang heavy, or the forearms can reach the ground and the forehead can reach the ground. Stretching through the skin on the back of the soles of the feet, and taking 1 breath here. Deep inhale, and exhale, release. And on your next in-breath, can you pick up the torso, coming back onto all fours, distributing the weight equally between the hands and the knees. So from here, we're going to come into a fluid spine this morning, lengthening and waking up. And as we do so, we're coming into what we call cat and cow. So from here, let's drop the belly, lift the heart, gaze forward. Good. And there's a tilt in the pelvis here through the lower spine, mid-spine, upper spine. And then a root down, really push through the hands to round through the spine, lean back, tuck belly to spine and chin to chest. Let's do that again. Inhale, tilt the pelvis, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, round through the spine, tuck belly to spine, soft belly, fluid belly, chin to chest. And again, moving seamlessly so that the spine is in fact incredibly fluid between the stability of the shoulders and the stability of the hips. Almost like the tidal wave of an ocean. Lower back, middle back, upper back, as we open up the back this morning, moving from a really open posture when the belly is dropped and the chest is lifted, all the way through to protection through the back body. Lovely. And when you're ready, finding a neutral spine. And now bringing both knees together, both toes to touch. And can you extend the left leg all the way back? So the left leg is lengthened, coming onto the ball of the foot. Transfer the weight into the hands, find a neutral spine, and then lifting up the left leg, so lifting up the back leg. And just have a little check-in. What you want is you don't want your toes pointing out to the side. You want them pointing straight down so the hips are level. Really nice. And then again, we're coming into that fluid spine. So as we inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest. And now as you exhale, can you bend the back knee? And as you round, tuck knee to nose, rounding through the back of the spine. Inhale, re-lengthen, 1 long line between the edge of the toes and the crown of the head. Exhale, fold in half, knee to nose. Inhale, re-lift and lengthen. Exhale, knee to nose. 1 more time, inhale, re-lengthen. Exhale, condensing down. Good. Now next time you extend the left leg all the way back, allow the toes to reach the ground. And now swivel the back heel down and in. So the back heel swivels down and in. And then the bottom shin, the shin of the right leg, untuck the toes and send the shin behind you. So you're doing this rotation like the arm of a clock face. And then pull the weight into the right side of the body, lift the left hand to the left hip. Inhale, arm comes up and over. Long side stretch between the edge of the fingertips of that top hand and the pinky edge of the back foot. Can you root the pinky edge into the ground? And then from here, just as we did at the beginning, can you put a bend in the elbow, take the palm of the hand to the back of the skull, and inhale if it's comfortable for your neck, gaze up past the top elbow, and really cradle the back of the skull in the palm of the hand. 1 breath here, deep inhale, Exhale, allow the top hand to reach the ground, swivel on the back knee, and coming back into tabletop. Let's take the other side. Bringing both knees to touch, feet to touch. Can you extend the right leg all the way back and then lift it parallel to the ground, checking in with the back hip is level, and repositioning the hands if you need to. From here, inhale, drop the belly, lift the spine, lifting the heart, gaze forward. Exhale, put a bend in the back knee, round through the spine, knee to nose. Inhale, re-lengthen. Exhale, round. Inhale, re-lengthen. That's it. Exhale, round. And as you do so, finding your rhythm through the spine and a length through the body this morning. Rhythm and length. Good. The next time the right leg is lengthened all the way back, can you allow the toes to reach the ground, swivel the back heel down and in, and this time the bottom, the ground knee is swiveling so the foot goes all the way behind you, pouring the weight of the body into the left hand. Can you lift your right hand to your hip, allowing the hips to yield forward and then raising the hand all the way up and allowing it to just rest gently, lulling over the head. Deep inhale, rooting the pinky edge of the back toe down. Good, and then putting a bend in that top elbow, taking the hand to the back of the skull and really allowing yourself to pour from the belly button all the way back so you're supported by that top hand. And if it's comfortable, inhaling, gazing past the top elbow. As you exhale, unravel, allow both hands to reach the ground, swivel on the back heel, and then coming back into tabletop. We're going to take our first downward facing dog. So from here, just allowing both wrists to really ground, all 10 fingers spread wide, tucking the toes. And we're coming from that position of a flexible spine. So we are dropping the belly, lifting the chest, toes of the feet tucked. And then from here, hovering the knees off of the mat, raising the hips up, allowing the head to hang low, hips high, head low, downward facing dog. Now, when you reach your down dog, it can be really comfortable to have a really generous bend in the knees. So allow your knees to be as generously bent as you need to. And you can even do something called walk the dog. So you can take one heel to the ground at a time. And that really opens up the back of the hamstrings and allows you to have more fluidity communicated from the soles of the feet, the grounding part of our body, all the way up into the spine. Really lovely. One more breath here. Deep inhale. Exhale through the mouth. And then put a really generous bend in the knees. Gaze forward past the fingertips where you want to go and start to walk the feet in towards the hands. It doesn't need to be elegant. However you get to the front of the mat is absolutely fine. And then having your feet sort of hip width apart, just hanging, allowing the spine to decompress, and then unfurling the spine as you stack vertebra by vertebra all the way up to stand. And keeping the arms fluid motion, moving them up and out all the way to the sky, and then putting a bend in both the elbows, the palms of the hands find the back of the skull. There's that interlinking of the fingers and the thumbs support the nape of the neck. From here, lengthening the skin and the hair on the back of the skull and using that to grow tall. So coming onto the tiptoes, lifting the heels. And this is can be quite challenging. So if you feel your legs shaking, that's totally normal. But really taking this opportunity to grow tall from the crown of the head and then replanting the heels and letting the arms flow forward and down, putting a bend in the knees as if you're going to sit on a chair and then take the arms all the way back. Inhale, re-lift, lengthen. Exhale, bend in the knees, sit on that chair, take the arms back. So we're just warming up the shoulders. And now that I've instructed it, it doesn't need to be coordinated. You're just inhaling up, exhaling down, really just waking up, increasing the heart rate a little bit. Good. And then the next time the hands are all the way up, just allow them to fall down by your sides. And then we're going to separate our feet ever so slightly under the hips, and we're just going to sway right and left. So again, your brain doesn't really need to tell your body how to sway. You can just allow the arms to flop right and left, let them go heavy. And there's even a little massage for the kidneys if you allow the hands to just have a little whack on the back. Good. And then just loosening up, allowing the neck to follow and the gaze to follow. Good. And then stepping to the front of your mat, having both hands onto your hips. Can you pour the weight into the right leg? So pouring all the weight into the right leg. And then lift the left leg as if it's weightless, like a feather, with the knee coming about halfway. What we're going to do is we're going to send this left leg all the way back, but to do so, notice how within the body, we have to transfer something forward for something to go back. So I'm transferring my torso forward, which allows me the balance to shoot my left leg as far back on the mat as I can manage. And then increasing the space between the front and the back foot. So really just sort of wiggling like little caterpillar feet to find a position that feels stable for you. So there's this stable space between the front and the back foot. And when you've arrived there, we're coming into our low lunge. So allowing the back knee to reach the ground. Inhale, both arms come all the way up. That familiar posture of linking the hands, thumbs on the back of the neck. Inhale, find a seed of a back bend as you lean back into the hands. Nice, release. Both hands come down on the inside of the front foot. Palms of the hands find the ground. And then transferring the weight into the left hand, lifting the right hand all the way up. Easy twist. Deep inhale here. And exhale. Turning from the belly button towards the front bent knee. And then putting a bend in the top elbow, taking the palm of the hand to the back of the skull. Inhale, gazing up past the top elbow, and then releasing the hand on the inside of the front knee. And now taking the hands on both sides of the front leg, can you transfer the weight backwards into the back knee as you lift the toes of the front foot? And we're coming into the psoas muscle here, and all I want you to do is walk forward and back. And if your hands don't reach the ground, that's fine, you can bring them up to the hips. And all we're doing is bring some opening and some length this morning into the hip flexors. The psoas muscle is so wonderful because it's a hip flexor, but it actually connects really deep into the spine and almost up to the diaphragm. Good, both hands on the inside of the front foot. Transfer the weight into the hands as you step the right foot back. And let's find our position in tabletop for downward facing dog. Tuck the back toes, lift the knees, lift the hips, downward facing dog. And taking a moment to just adjust in your down dog. One breath here, deep inhale. Exhale, release. And then putting a generous bend in the knees, and this time walking to the back of your mat. So allowing your hands to walk backwards towards your feet in a kind of meditation walk. And then allowing your spine again to unfurl. Arms come all the way out to the side and to the back of the skull, interlinking the fingers, lengthening the skin on the back of the head. And then both arms come all the way down, finding the hips. Again, transferring the weight into the right leg, and the left leg comes all the way up. And this time I'm going to send the left leg forward, so I have to transfer my torso back in order to balance. So here we go, biggest step, all the way forward, and then using the foot to transfer a little bit forward, allowing the back knee to reach the ground. That's it, both arms coming all the way up. Fingers interlinked, thumbs on the back of the skull, and a seed of a back bend. So allowing the front knee to move forwards ever so slightly, opening the groin and that psoas muscle on the inside of the right thigh. Lovely, releasing both hands on the inside of the front foot, and then pouring the weight into the right hand. Can you lift the left hand all the way up? And then put a bend in that top elbow and find the back of the skull. Inhale, look past the top elbow as you lean back ever so slightly. One breath here, deep inhale, and exhale. Release the top hand on the inside of the front foot, and then take both hands on the outside, coming onto the fingertips if that feels good. And you may want to walk the front foot forward a little bit to increase length, and then walking the hands back, transferring the weight into the back knee and the back toes. Can you yield through the left hip, lifting the front toes, and then walk forwards and rock back. So there's this kind of walk forwards and back as you are opening the back, the front leg. That's it. Good, and once you've had enough of that, bringing both hands on the inside of the front foot, transferring the weight into the hands, moving the leg back. And let's just take a high child's pose. So tucking the toes of the back foot, walking the hands out ever so slightly, and allowing the forehead to just yield towards the ground. Really nice. When we've taken a breath or two here, just lift the torso, lift the head, and start to walk the hands, the palms of the hands along the mat back towards the knees. And we're coming into a kind of crouching position. So the hips are heavy towards the back of the heels. And maybe you might like to come onto your fingertips or onto your palms. What I would recommend is bringing both the knees to touch and both toes to touch, because balance will be easier, and then allowing the hips and the heels to weigh down heavy towards the ground. So my heels don't really reach the ground, but I'm leaning all the way back. And I like to separate the knees, making space for my hands. And we're going to inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest. Exhale, allow the knees to replant and brighten the chest forward. And then from here, as we rock back, the hips and the heels get heavy and the chin tucks to the chest and we round. So we're in this kind of crouching position. Inhale, knees plant, drop the belly, lift the chest, arcing through the spine, fluid spine, and then leaning all the way back, allowing the hips and the heels to be heavy. We're just going to do that a few more times. Knees plant, soft belly, lift the heart, and then ground through the hands, allow the hips and the heels to weigh heavy. And let's just pause here with a rounded spine, chin tucked. This can feel really nice, this protective back body. Deep inhale and exhale. Good, and then allowing the knees to reach the ground and swaying them out to one side as we come onto our backs, lying down to close the practice. And just allow the entire body to reach the ground. And here I like to take my hands again to the back of the skull, lengthen through. Now I find so much more space for my neck as my head plants to the ground. And the soles of the feet are flat on the ground and the knees are raised to begin with. And then you can take the knees over to the ground on the right, through center, over to the ground on the left, kind of like windscreen wipers of a car, all the way around. And when you're ready, you've had enough of that, just lengthen the legs out. And as we did at the beginning, take one hand to the belly, one hand to the chest. And as your entire back body and your spine meets the ground, just like allow the ankles to flop out to the sides. Allow the elbows to get heavy. Allow the shoulders to relax. And let gravity do the work. So let gravity take the weight of your bones, your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons, and just let it all melt. Let it all melt away. Like butter on a hot frying pan, just let your entire body melt into the ground. Deepening the breath, bringing your attention to the natural flow of the inhale and the release of the exhale, and with every exhale, letting go of anything that doesn't serve you for today. Lovely. Releasing the hands from the front body. Put a bend in the left leg, so bring the left knee to the sky, sole of the left foot to the ground. Lengthen the left arm all the way up to the sky, fingertips to sky, and then all the way back behind you, so it's lying on the ground, heavy behind the head. And then use that as an invitation to roll onto the left side and make your way up to seated to close the practice this morning. Any comfortable seat will do. And yogi's choice, you can have your arms relaxed, or again, you can bring your hand to your belly and to your chest. Opening the front body into the day, welcoming the front body. Take a deep inhale through the nose, part the lips. Sigh it out, blinking the eyes open. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.